Hi guys, it's Hot Mess Mama. It is Thursday. Gosh, I don't even know. It is Thursday the 20th of September, and I was sitting here thinking I haven't done a Facebook Live in a while, and I'm gross, and it's almost dinner time, and I was like, gosh, I really just need to get something off my chest because I feel so disgustingly gross, and I want this feeling to stop. So I am going to let it all out there, and I am going to release it, and I am going to move past it. So this is what I'm getting at. You may have seen in some of my posts this week that I have been feeling old. I have never in my life felt old. I've always felt really young at heart and young spirited and full of energy, like to like a crazy degree. Like my friends would always be like, or my coworkers would be like, you have so much energy and you're so like happy and fun and everything. And so like I've always felt, hey Caroline, I've always felt like I've had this like inner youth. And I've never thought of myself as old. Even when I was having my babies, even when I was turning 40, like I never felt old. There were times when I felt tired when I was a mom, but like I never felt old. And so, you know, there's that old adage that says, like, you're only as old as you feel. So will someone please come feel me and tell me how old I am? Like, I love that. Like, I think that's really funny. But like, it's true. Like, and I don't know what it is, but like the last, I would say couple of weeks, I feel like it's just these little things are compounding that are making me pay more attention to my age. And it is making me feel so freaking old. Caroline, do you feel old? Like I feel old. And my kids are young. Like I know like people, like plenty of people our age, Caroline, have kids that are, you know, in their 20s or maybe married and maybe have their own kids with their grandparents already. But like I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old and I don't feel old, right? But like, I guess we are, like we're in our 40s. So like I said, there were these little things, but Caroline, I'm sure, do you have those moments where you kind of feel old? And what do you do to get past it? Because like, I've had this like string of moments where over the last couple of weeks where like these things really came to the forefront and made me feel really old. And I didn't like how it made me feel. So I've been in this like mad dash to try to stop myself from aging or stop the aging process or act younger than I am or look younger than I am. And like, because I feel like, gosh, I'm just not ready for people to think that I'm old, you know, and I'm thinking about my mom who's in her 80s and I'm watching her health fail and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that could be me, or my sister who's in her 50s and like her body and her physique and her, you know, health and everything is changing, you know, rapidly in her 50s. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in my 40s. And I can't afford to be, I 2 young kids. I can't afford to be growing old and I don't want to look old and I don't want to feel old. I don't want to be old. So why do I have to, these constant little reminders are really kind of knocking me down. And like, so like, here's how it kind of started. A couple of weeks ago, I was working on a conference in Nashville and it was awesome. And it was, you know, early mornings, late nights. And I was working with a team of people and there were some girls that were on one of my teams and they were like in their 20s, right? And that never fazed me before. Like I can hang with the 20-year-olds, right? I could drink with the 20-year-olds for sure. I could probably drink more at the table, you know, and but I can hang out with the old people too. Older people too. I guess I am an old person. Am I an old person? Anyways, so I'm hanging out with these 20-year-olds and I would like we went out to a bar one night and they all got carded except for me. Like they were just like, come on, old lady, you know? And I was like, are you for real? Okay. Like at least like make me feel like I'm a little bit younger than I am. Right. And then there was like, oh, Burt Reynolds died. And I remember saying to this, you know, to this group of people that I was with, I'm like, oh, Burt Reynolds died. And they're like, Burt Reynolds? Who's that? I'm like, how do you not know who Burt Reynolds was? He was a huge sex star, like in the 70s and 80s. I mean, I was a child, I was born in 1974, but he had a string of movies and was so famous for so long. How do you not know who Burt Reynolds is? And they didn't know who he was. And they thought I was an old person. And then I said something, oh, like one of the performers that we were having that was going to be performing, you know, we had these bands and I was like, oh, well, it's blah, blah, blah. And they're like, who's that? Like I was like talking, I said something about like, oh, it's Hootie and the Blowfish. You know, remember that? Oh, Hootie and the Blowfish? So this guy, it's Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish. And they're like, who's that? I'm like, you don't know Hootie and the Blowfish? Like they're from the 90s, right? Like, and they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, I was born in 1996. And I was like, oh shit. So here I am thinking like, Hootie and the Blowfish isn't that old, right? Like pretty much people still know who Hootie and the Blowfish is. Nope. The only reason why one girl knew why is because of some songs that he sang on the Friends soundtrack. So I was like, oh my gosh, they don't. So then I'm like, all right. Then I was out at a party one night and I was, the Macarena came on. And so I was like, oh, okay. We had been doing all sorts of line dancing all night long and the Macarena came on. nobody knew the Macarena. And I was like, they're following me. And I'm like, how do you people not know the Macarena? Like the Macarena is like annoyingly everywhere. Yet they didn't know the Macarena. They're like, oh no, we don't know it. And that made me feel super duper old. And then, I thought I was making it funny. I was like, come on guys, let's go get jiggy with it. And I think they thought I was serious. And I was like, no, I wasn't serious. I was trying to be funny. But I think they're like, okay, old lady. And I think about my mom. I'm looking at my list because I'm like, oh, I was thinking about my mom. Like I said, she's getting older, and like I see her decline, and I hear like her body, starting. She's in her 80s, and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for that yet. Like I don't want that, but like it's okay for my mom because she's 80, right? But like, we're always like kind of with my mom. We're like, she's like, oh, I don't want to go do that because that's for old people. We're like, Mom, you are old people. You're 82 years old, FYI, And so, and then just like my son says to me the other day, I was laying down, we were snuggling in bed, and he says to me, you know what, Mom? When you lay like that, you kind of look like Grandma. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, oh, when you have your neck down like that, you kind of look like Grandma. But when you have your neck up, you look like you. But like here, you look like Grandma. I was like, wait, I don't know if I can do it. Wait. It's like, yeah, you look like Grandma. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh, you're comparing me to a woman who's 40 years older than me. I was like, all right, whatever. So then I was like, okay, I have to go out and put my neck cream on, right? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, have I been following my regimen? I have to put on my night cream and my eye cream, and I've got to put on my lip cream, and I've got to put on my neck cream, and I got to drink lots of water, and I've got to drink my goji, and I got to take all my supplements. I have an old lady pill box. You know the old lady pill box? You know what I'm talking about? The ones that say like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because, we might forget our old lady pill box. I have one of those for reals, right? Okay. And so then I would go, here's my old lady pill box. I've got one, or like I have 5 million different steps to my face washing routine. I know you can't tell because like literally, why do I bother doing all that stuff? Because I'm literally in gym clothes every day and I never wear makeup. I may lose you for a second if I do, just hang on. So, but yeah, like look at my regimen of products and like products. I mean, to the point where the woman who does my facials has to write me instructions on what I need to do in the morning and at night. And it's like hundreds of dollars worth of face cream and products. Not to mention, okay, I'm gonna tell you all this right now, and I'm being candid and very honest. I got Botox. Because I was getting the scrunchie. You know when you scrunch right here? I was getting that scrunchie right there, and I got some Botox there. And then I was getting the forehead lines, and I got Botox up there. Yeah, so when did all of this happen? When did all of this happen where all of a sudden we got so obsessed with trying to look younger, right? And I fell victim to the vanity. And I think that I'm like, it's okay to want to look younger. It's okay to want to go get facials. I've had chemical peels. I've had peels on my face that literally for like 4 days shredded, like you would peel my layers of skin off. It's called the V peel. I've had lasers. I've had sonic vibrations. I mean, like you name it, I've had the treatment done to my face. And do I see a difference? No. And do I have age spots? Yes. Do I have sunspots? Yes. And like, I feel ancient. And even though I'm in the gym, weightlifting, doing the cardio, trying to keep up with my kids, feeling young at heart, all these little things were coming at me, making me feel super old. Yeah. So I kind of was like, how do I get myself out of this funk where I'm feeling so young and I'm feeling like I'm not ready to start looking old. I'm not ready to start feeling old. And then people are like, oh, well, you know what? Those aren't no lines. Those are laugh lines. Those are lifelines. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want them. Fill this, like take care of this. I don't want the laugh lines, right? I want to laugh, but minus the lines. Or they're like, oh, that gray hair, that's not gray hair. Those are wisdom highlights, honey. Those are wisdom highlights. I'm like, the highlights I want are the ones I get at the beauty salon. That's all I want, right? And yes, I do highlight my hair. I haven't gone full on dye yet. Have you gone full on dye yet? Like I have not dyed my hair yet, but I've done the highlight, and that's so far that has hid the grays. But I'm like, for real? Are you kidding me? Or like, the stretch marks. Like, oh no, those are battle scars. Those are love scars. I'm like, okay, I'll go with that. But like the laugh lines and the wisdom highlights, I can't go with that. But so I think that what I think is really interesting is that I had learned a couple of things that I've kind of been thinking about in the back of my mind. And I'm hoping that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of try to start to change my attitude about aging and change my attitude about feeling and looking older. So they were saying that there was some research done that I'm trying to look, well, basically, let me back this up. So they're basically, my trainer actually sent this to me randomly and to the rest of it, or his trainees, that like there's no such thing, I'm reading this, there's no such thing as a run of bad luck or bad things or bad days or bad feelings or anything like that, because people believe this, but they falsely, because it's the human brain that creates patterns out of these random events and remembers the events that fit the pattern. So my brain is remembering all of these random events about me feeling old because they fit a pattern. Okay, so I need to break the pattern is what it boils down to. And I need to change that pattern into me thinking positive thoughts about enjoying and loving my feeling at 40s something, like my crisis. And they talk about focus on what's going well, because you are convinced you are having a bad day because you are focusing on what went wrong. That for every bad thing, there are probably a dozen or more things that are going really well, but you're just too busy being focused on what went wrong. So yes, so I want to change the pattern. I want to, so that I'm not, thinking about these, the growing old pattern, but maybe growing younger pattern or feeling more vibrant pattern. And I want to pay more credence to the good things that happen to me in a day versus the bad things. Because listen to this research. I was floored. There's all these medical research that's out there that's saying that the adage, like you're only as old as you feel, is like really actually legitimate. They've done some scientific research and studies and test groups and everything, and they found that people that felt older than they were lived longer. And they kind of attributed that to that, like they would just had healthier lifestyle factors, and they had a greater will to live. And so those people that felt younger kind of did those things that younger people do and had that younger mentality, they lived longer. And they say that like how old you feel is kind of a predictor of your mortality. So like if you feel old, you're gonna die old sooner. If you feel young, then you will live longer. Even though you may physically not be fit for whatever reason, it's just some sort of like predictor that your body and your mind and all of those things kind of just know when it's your body, your mind is telling you need to go. So the more you think that you're old, the faster you're going to die, like your mortality. But the more that you continue to think I'm young and act and be active like a young person and have young thoughts, that will like help you live a longer life. So I'm all about that because I've got young kids and I want to see them grow up and I want to see my grandkids and I want to run around with them. Hey, Carrie. And so this is my thing and I'm asking you guys to hold me accountable. I have told you I've had some crappy experiences recently with feeling like an old person, people drawing attention to my age that I'm not comfortable with. And I am throwing it away and I'm not gonna think about it anymore. I am now changing the pattern. I am changing the pattern. Instead of thinking about me being old, I'm gonna think about every little thing that I do that makes me feel young. That I can weight lift this many pounds, that I can run this far, that I can keep up with my kids. You know what, that I look great, and I feel great. And I don't know, but I'm gonna need some encouragement to get through that because, it's a hard pattern to break once you've got this kind of ingrained in your head. Because you know what, I gotta break the pattern, not only just for me, but for my kids, because I need to live longer for me, a longer, happier life for me, and a longer, happier life for my kids. So I'm holding you guys, you gotta hold me to it, right? So join me, if you will, in changing the pattern. Let's change the pattern, people. Change the pattern because you are only as old as you feel. And I'm tired of feeling old mentally and physically. I'm changing it, changing the pattern. It stops now. New beginning starts now. Thanks for joining me, guys. Hang in there and feel young. Be young. Young thoughts, healthy things. Enjoy every minute of it because it goes by too fast. It's too short. And I am going to suck every minute and every drop out of this life, my young life, by the way. my young life. You heard it here first. See you later, guys. Change the